Dr. Michelson, thank you for joining us here and doing a testimonial.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Excellent. Maybe you could just tell other dentists a little bit about you, where you're from.
My name is Soren Michelson. I'm from Catoosa, Oklahoma, and I've had a practice there for 9 years. I joined MGE, I think it's a couple years ago now, and we've just had some really amazing experiences with MGE, continue to have it. We just had our record month ever last month, so yeah, I've got lots to share.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you doing so.
Yeah.
Doctor, if you could tell a little bit about what's the backstory prior to MGE. Obviously, you had one practice in Catoosa, just outside Tulsa, correct?
Yes.
And kind of paint the picture a little bit. Like, what was the pain? Why did you come to MGE?
So I graduated from school in 2012. I had a couple of partners. They didn't ever work in my office. I bought them out by 2014, and we were growing and growing. Decided that we wanted to get in with a marketing company that really helped accelerate our growth, but kind of told us that in order to grow, we had to expand our hours, work weekends, and just overschedule and try and accommodate every single person. And it worked in terms of increasing our volume, but our profit from 2014 to 2018 just steadily declined. And I was working harder and harder. We got up to $350,000 a month-ish in collections. It was me and 3 associate doctors. The associate doctors couldn't produce for anything. I didn't really have an organized management team at all, and we had a staff of about maybe 35 people. So it was like I was just trying to hang on to survive.
How many hours a week would this be for you? And your wife, Natalie, was, although she's a hygienist, she's your office manager, correct?
Well, so she has a very fluid role in the organization. At that time, she wasn't doing a whole lot of things, but as things got less and less organized and harder to kind of hold on to the chaos of all the people and managers who didn't know what they were doing, because we didn't know how to help them know what they were doing, Natalie had to step in more. And not something we ever really, it was like, why in the world is my wife feeling like she has to work full-time and I'm working way more than full-time? The office was open 69 hours a week. I was probably working 35 to 40 hours a week in the chair, trying to compensate for all of the lack of production of the associate doctors, and then probably another 10 to 15 hours on top of that. So,
got it.
Yeah,
and this with young children?
Yeah, 4 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
So life was not quite exactly what you expected.
No. So anyhow, I ran into Dr. Winteregg at a conference, and he was presenting and making a little presentation, and I went up and introduced myself to him in a dinner afterwards, and he asked all about our office, and we had, I think, 5,500 active patients at the time, and we were seeing 700 or 800 hygiene patients a month. Like, we were seeing a ton of people, but like I said, the profitability was just collapsing. And
can I ask about the profitability? Like, what kind of profitability?
Like literally 5 to 6% was when we hit our lowest point.
Wow.
Yeah. So our revenue was increasing by $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 year over year, and our profitability was dropping by several percent year over year. So it was like I was just working my guts out for nothing.
I get the picture.
Yeah, and really the patient experience declined, and all of this stuff. And so now, that being said, what we ended up with and what MGE had to help us work with was a phenomenal, they just had to go and help us tweak a few things, and it took us a long time to realize like what we could do with it. But now we're just kind of kicking ourselves like, oh my gosh, why didn't we implement faster, and why didn't we do this, and why didn't we do that? But it's all a step-by-step process, and it's been incredible.
Well, it's 2 years now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far out of the gate. You've been on the Power program and such. Tell me a little bit of the what you've achieved thus far in comparison to when you came on.
So our profitability is up to in the neighborhood of 25 to 30%.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's paying me for being a chief clinical officer and for my commission as an associate doctor. So, I mean, it's a true solid percentage of profit. And last month we collected over $650,000.
So you've actually doubled in size about, and
4 to 5 times our profitability.
wow.
And I actually, maybe this is not a selling point, but hopefully it is. I don't know what some of the people in the organization do at this point, because I have these people that I work with, and they make sure that all of the other things happen. So where I used to have to reach way down into the organization and micromanage every little thing, I just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, well, just so you know, that's exactly how it should be.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm certain you could probably reach down in there if you had to and go there and understand things, but
Right.
you have junior executives, just as it should be. You have a senior executive administrating the office.
Yeah.
And from what I understand now, you've picked up another office. Tell me about your expansion plans. Where is this all headed?
So, the great thing about MGE, in my opinion, is that what MGE wants you to do is what you want to do. And I am just driven to expand. And the technology makes it possible. I started the associate model practice thinking that it would be income protection and meet all these needs that I had. But at this point, it's a totally different thing. I get to do what I think is like my calling in life, which is to help get patients healthy, and then to build an organization that employs fantastic people, trains them very well, and then they in turn can provide a service to way more people than I ever could. So it's, although I talked about the profitability and all of those other things, that's just kind of, at this point, a byproduct of all of the great things that are happening in the community for our patients, for our team.
Oh, well, I think it's incredible. And I want to ask you about something completely off of those points. How's life as a father now? And what is your personal life? Do you have a personal life? With all this going on, doubling the practice, and you've now purchased another practice.
Yeah. So I was actually just, some of the coursework that I'm working on, and I have to go in and kind of evaluate what I'm doing in my own personal life and all those things. And I actually kind of was really surprised to find that, when I actually step back and look, things are so much better than they were. Not that anything was, on the cusp of failure or anything like that, but I get to have more time with my kids. I don't have an excessive amount of time with my kids because, like I said, I work as my hobby, but I get time with my kids. They see me. I'm going on vacations regularly to make sure I'm out of the office and away from the things that can draw me in when I'm at home. And my wife and I, we have the best working relationship we've ever had because she trusts the people in the organization. I trust the people in the organization. And so she and I don't have to try and micromanage stuff at 10:30 at night anymore, like we did at some times. So that has brought an incredible amount of comfort and peace into our home. So
Nice.
I'm grateful for that, for sure.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they're looking at the Power program, they've done the ABCs. Boy, they saw results on that. They love that. Did the new patient workshop. Love that. Comes to the Power program, they have concerns. Everybody has concerns. Can I ask what your concerns were before you got on with the Power program?
So this will have application to the people who've done the ABCs, but we were the easy 20%. I mean, we knew we needed something, and when we heard, we had consultants over the years, and we had tried to figure things out ourselves, but when it was put to us in the way that it was in our first sales seminar, we came to seminar B first. I brought Natalie and our two executives with us, the two at the time, and Natalie and I just looked at each other and were like, we're going to write the check because we just knew it was going to make sense. Our Power Client manager, when we first met with him before we had become a Power Client, just from looking at our numbers, this is the thing that really it answered all the questions. He just looked at the numbers and he basically, almost like a psychic, told us exactly what we were experiencing. And it was just like, you've been, sneaking around in our office, or you called and asked people a bunch of questions to figure this out. But obviously he hadn't. He just looked at our survey, our numbers, and said, this is what I see is probably happening, and the technology will eliminate all those issues.
Wow.
And it hasn't fully eliminated them, but we are so much better than we were. So much better.
Wow. Great stuff. So somebody sitting on the fence about the Power Program, whether it's the money or the time investment, what would be your recommendations from a doctor to another doctor?
Do it now is my honest thing, because specifically the money will just pay for itself extremely rapidly as long as you apply the technology. So the money should not even be a hesitation. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but write the check, finance it, do what you got to do, because it will absolutely pay off. And if the people in your organization who will benefit from this whole process knew how much they would gain financially and professionally from you being able to grow your practice the same way, they would push you to spend the money. The time is one of the more challenging things, at least it was for me, has been for me. Your life doesn't get less busy, and the longer you put off allocating the time to saying, I'm going to invest in making sure I run a good organization, the harder it's going to be to ever free yourself up for that. So, we make time sacrifices all the time for the executive team. Just getting out here to Florida for me is, it's essential because I can't make progress on my Power Program when I'm back at home. So you just have to make those time sacrifices, but to a very real extent, because I've made those time sacrifices to come here in the previous months, I'm more there for the business and for my family when I'm at home. So,
love it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I want to segue into something. I want to ask you about, you have jumped on with the Premier program of MGE, which is basically an all-you-can-eat training program for all your staff. I would love to know your thoughts as to why you did it, and have you found it advantageous?
Oh, yeah. That's a very, very simple one. Years ago, when I would kind of poll my staff about what are the challenges that you face as a member of this team, training was always the number one thing. Oh, we don't have enough training. People don't know what they're doing. We don't know how to do our jobs. All of the things that probably a lot of these people come in here feeling. At this point, in our last team meeting, I said, what are the strengths and weaknesses that you experience here in this team? And the first hand that shot up, she said, this is the best training of any employer I've ever had. And, people around the room are all just like nodding. And we don't really have to do a lot of it. Now, I enjoy doing it, and I implement and tie all of that training into our team meetings and things like that. But we set up a course room. We have about 60 employees now. And so we have an onboarding process where everyone does preliminary coursework. We've weeded out a few bad apples just in that whole.
So before they actually step into the practice as an employee, great.
Yeah, they've already done at least one introductory course and several other things like a dental glossary and stuff, just to make sure that we can evaluate, are these people that can catch on and learn things quickly? Because when you're thrown into a huge machine like what we have, you've got to demonstrate that you're capable of getting in there and figuring out the job and getting it done. So just that alone, that one course that everybody takes, the Study Skills for Life course, really sets us up to be able to say this person needs to be fast-tracked into this position, or we're going to go over here with them, or no, we're done. And it's a quick evaluation, and it's just been so helpful. But our sales line with our treatment coordinators and schedulers and the doctors, all of them have access to all the sales training courses that they need. It makes it very simple because it's online for them. They can access it and be focused on it. So we actually set aside time in their schedules. We're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so they'll take a 3-hour chunk out of a couple of their shifts, and they'll go next door to the suite next door, and they'll be on course. And then they come right back in and they put their skills to use immediately. And none of us have to do any of that stuff. We just have someone that runs a schedule.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So you've got this pattern set up. I know that you have a number of your staff on the Power program. Mm-hmm. Then they all can do various other training, like the sales training, treatment presentation training, mm-hmm. The study skills, and any basic orientation training. What do you see as changes with these staff now that they've gotten this training? You mentioned earlier that now you don't have to get into micromanaging. What are you seeing in the changes with your staff?
Well, so an experienced person in the dental field will come into the office, and they don't know anything about the sales principles and caring about the patient. They're kind of in their own little this is how you do dentistry type thing. And you go and you correct that, and then they come back in, and all of a sudden they realize this organization cares for patients better than any practice I've ever been a part of. And so they get really energetic about it, and they get really they just become a self-perpetuating energy for getting the patients healthy. So it just takes care of itself. It's really, really a cool thing to see what happens for the team members that get in and commit themselves to the training. And I hear testimonial, win after win after win is shared by team members about how it affects their personal lives and relationships as well.
So they're getting technology that they can take home and use, and they are organizing their life better because they know how to organize their office better.
Yeah.
And it makes them more present during their actual post time.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, Doctor, congratulations on your success.
Thanks.
So well done.
Yeah.
I'm really watching the space to see what happens. I think you've got a very bright future, you and your team.
Yeah.
And we're watching. So continue.
Thank you. I appreciate it.